Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see, back on F1 2021 as always. And you can see here today, we are doing another 25% race against some very, very strong competition. FRA Ron Ha is in here, along with many others. If you want access to this, make sure you join my YouTube membership. You will have a first priority invite for when I do my weekly online lobbies. You can see we're putting on a new Spa setup, just lowering the downforce by 1. Because whenever I race online, when it's not an elite race, it's not as serious. I like to have a little bit extra straight line speed. But I am taking it a little bit more serious today because we have someone like Ron Hahn here who is one of the fastest people on this game, definitely for sure on Xbox. Raced him many times in the past. I think he's improved quite a lot recently. So this will be a very good test because we haven't gone against each other yet. We've got KT, Effie, Felipe, another very, very fast driver here. So starting on the mediums at the back, he's elected to go for the softs, in fact. So as usual, we're just going to try and let the carnage unfold here. Do we make up any positions? I think we make up maybe one position or something like that. So we're just going to follow them through. And as usual, we're going to stay on board for this entire race. Because trust me, until the very, very end, it's such an amazing climax. I really hope that you enjoy it. But you can see we have a few victims on the side of the track going down that straight. This corner, always an absolute nightmare. So again, Ron Haas really going to try and make amends going through this traffic because he's on the soft tyres. So he knows he needs to really be ahead of me by distance in order for him to make that strategy work. I'm trying to go down the inside of my teammate. We managed to do it successfully. Now we're behind Felipe as we get our first track limit warning, which is something I always try and aim to avoid. Going out wide there, very lucky we didn't get a second one, so that could have made our race exponentially harder before it's even got started here. But doing well so far, up into P13. The setup I'm running here is just a TT setup. I've got a race at Spa this weekend, or the weekend that's actually just gone by the time you watch this video, which is pretty much the same setup I'm running here. So if you're in my membership, you will see any adjustments I might have made to that. But for now, we're going to try and use the advantage of our straight line speed, which I felt we would definitely be having over the field. So just maybe poking our nose down the inside, but it's always a little bit dangerous to do that. Trying to get a nice switchback on both of these two guys. So we're on the outside. Let's see if we could try and outbrake her, which we're not. He's very, very determined to outbrake me there. So we're just going to let them have the corner once again. Not going to be using the overtake here because you don't want to be carrying too much momentum going up the hill. Otherwise, you could be running into them too early. So as we go past the hill, that's when I use it. Let's see how good my straight line speed is because I really need to get a move on. I need to stay as close as I can to Ron Ha as he is going through this traffic. But I can still see him up ahead, so that's good. We're just going to go on the brakes until this Alpine spins round, which is very unfortunate for him. But he managed to get through that unscathed. So nice and patient, not being trigger happy on the throttle, just taking our time, knowing that he was going to spin out there, hoping that he wouldn't keep on the brakes. And we managed to get through that pretty nicely. So up into P12 now. Just have a car between myself and Ron Hart. But we also have this Felipe in McLaren to worry about as well, because he is actually a very, very fast driver, which you will see as this video continues. It's always amazing how many amazing drivers, and this is just absolute carnage. What on earth is going on here? Blind Halo, I think, is causing a bit of chaos here. So I was trying to get past him as quick as I can. He goes, we go in and through the middle of him. I'm using my overtake because I just want to clear this guy as much as I can, but I had a feeling something was going to happen. So as we're going into chicane, a red arrow just comes out of nowhere. It's Blind Halo, just absolutely Daniel Kvyatting down the inside there. And I'm going to stay to the inside because I know FLK8 is a clean driver, so that's kind of blocking off the route that Halo could maybe use to drive into me here. So I'm using the overtake again because I just want to get away from him as much as I can. But we're going to try and follow through this traffic, use this momentum going up through the hill. Let's see how much straight line speed we actually have. So going to the right of this road gives me a good old squeeze, but you can see that straight line speed, making sure we're well and truly far off alongside, because that corner, if you have the sights, is a touch of this. Roadhar has actually gone off. Roadhar has gone off into this race, but he has reset to track, so he hasn't actually lost that much time, when you'll be able to see by the mini-map. Now, that's good for me in this race, but very bad for him. I almost lose the car here. This game in general, on the curbs, if you're not carrying the speed and you're not paying attention, you could just lose the car at absolutely any time here. So really having to keep your wits about. I do have one invalidation already, so just making sure we don't get a second one. But now we've got KTE Felipe. We have a guy in the lead who's got a pretty big lead as well here, so that's also someone else we have to factor into this race here. But you can see the straight line speed we've got is very, very nice going down the straight. We have two medium roads. We have Fab Ferrari in here as well, who actually races with me in BRS, another very, very fast driver. So try and navigate yourself through the chicane. Blind Halo is over 1 second behind, so hopefully he doesn't get the detection point. We actually set the fastest lap of the race, despite that drama on the last lap here. So let's see what our speed is going to be like. My plan was to try and get Fab Ferrari. I was hoping Felipe would try and overtake him, and then I also overtake him at the same time as well. So wait until we get to the top of the hill. Now we use the overtake button. With that, a slightly reduced front ring, our straight line speed should be very good. We're doing a Hakkinen Schumacher kind of esque situation here, and we get through him. I'm not going to overtake him. He's trying to leave me a lot of room, but we're not going to go down the inside. Just trying to avoid that curb on the right hand side, because it is very, very deadly. I think is probably the best word to use going through into there. But now we're up into the podium position. So in 4 laps, we've gone from pretty much last up into the podium positions, and so far so good. But we still have to watch out for Ron Haar, because he isn't actually that far behind. He's amongst those many dots in the group behind us, and as I said, I think he is one of the fastest drivers on this game right now. He's just really fast. He's one of those people who was very fast at time trial and in qualifying, but quite often didn't put it together in the race. I think he's one of those drivers who started to put it together in the race, and I think that just comes with experience and just confidence as well. But right now, our task at hand is to try and win this race. The guy in the lead does have a 3-second time penalty, but as always, we want to try and win it on track for bragging rights. So I'm behind Felipe. We've got quite a lot of the ERS 2 users. We both do a 45.7 here. So I don't think he's really going to have anything to defend with going down straight. He's actually using overtake on the exit of turn 1. But as I said, with the straight line speed we have and going up this hill, we're going to be using it after the hill. I feel this is probably the best place to use it. And let's see if we're going to have enough straight line speed. I think we're comfortably going to have enough straight line speed, and even managing to almost get back on the racing line, avoiding this curb on the inside. Again, that was so close to being an absolute disaster going through into that. And you can see now Ron Haar has made his way back into the top 5. He does unfortunately have a 3-second time penalty, but again, even if you have a penalty, you still want to try and win on track as much as you can. So we're going to keep an eye on that gap. We're closing in on Kuba, if I can say that right, in the lead, who is on the soft tyres. He actually has 6 seconds worth of penalties now, but Felipe doesn't have any penalties, and he definitely seems to have the pace as well. So be interested to see what his pace is like going towards the end of the race. But at Spa, in 25%, I actually quite often like to go very long into the race, because even though it's 11 laps only, which may seem very short, it's one of the longest tracks on the calendar, and the tyre wear, even if you pit quite late, you're still doing quite a lot of mileage on those tyres as the leader actually now pits. Felipe also pits as well, as we set a new fastest lap of a 24 or 45.4, but then Ron Ha goes a second quicker, so the softs are still showing that they have some very, very good performance. Right now, I'm going to try and push to get out of the DRS of Fab Ferrari. Everyone behind me actually has a time penalty as well, which is one of the things that is still very, very important, even when racing online and league racing. Is the number one thing really is just to make sure you don't get a penalty, because that could really help you. And people in esports, they never really get penalties, so you have to be fast, as we have a harsh reminder there that we could lose the car at any moment. But as I was saying, you have to be fast and do both fast and clean. And that is now our second warning, talking about being clean. We are one away from actually getting the penalty ourselves, and Felipe doesn't have one, so he's definitely going to get an undercut because he is on the soft tyres. But as I was saying earlier, I like to go quite long, because if you pick quite early, like lap 5 or even before that, the softs could even do this full race. You have to do a lot of mileage on those tyres. So even if you pit lap 7 or 8, it may feel very close to the end, but there's still quite a long way to go. There's still like almost 5 minutes of the race driving and stuff like that. So that's the reason why I like to do it, and I feel extra soft tyres around here actually do make quite a big difference, because even after a lap difference, that's 3 or 4 miles on those tyres, and actually puts a fair amount of wear on them. So we're just going to keep on pushing on as well. The gap to Ron Hart is 6.9 seconds. Let's see how that gap is over the next remaining laps. And I think Felipe, at this stage, I was just so focused on Ron Hart, on his pace, I wasn't actually really thinking of Felipe that much. And since he's just done his first lap out the pits, it won't show he's done a fastest lap, so he's actually going to get a very, very big undercut on me, and I wasn't actually aware of how big an undercut he was actually going to get. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as we enter the pit stops. But you can see right here now, Ron Hart's gained quite a lot of time already in this first sector, but you can see we're not really pushing that hard, making sure we don't get our extra warning, which would then give us a 3-second time penalty. That's something we definitely cannot afford. So you can see we still have 75% of the ERS to use, because now it actually started to clock into my mind that I'm probably gonna have to do a bit of a comeback drive, because I've already gone 2 laps worth of an undercut, and it's probably going to be a minimum about 3 seconds at this point that I'm going to have to close down in the space of 3 to 4 laps. And Felipe, I was looking at that gap now, 15.5 seconds. Not sure if I'm going to be pitting at the end of this lap. He might even go on for another lap as well. So coming through this chicane, what do we do here? We actually go on for another lap. So doing a Mercedes-esque kind of strategy, just continuing on, still doing pretty good lap times. And if you look at that gap to Felipe, it's 15.2 seconds. Let's see what it is going towards the end of the lap, because the softs should be very fast. And I think he's going to cross the line now. What does he do? He does do a fastest lap of a 44.2. So that was 1.8 seconds faster than what we did on the last lap here. Someone else actually beats that. Dan does a 44.1, and Felipe still doesn't have a penalty. You can see he's actually gained 6/10 in the first sector alone. So that says to me that he's actually using a bit of the ERS as well. So that's why we are keeping some ERS in reserve. A lot of people would be very, very tempted to just blast the overtake button right now, but I knew I'm going to have to be doing quite a big comeback, because now it's gone down a second on this lap alone. So showing how much time he is actually gaining, we're going to have to be doing a big undercut. Ron has 23 seconds behind. He was about 6 seconds behind. So if you work that out, that's quite a big undercut that this guy has actually done on us, Felipe. So we've got our work cut out. But as I said, Spa's a little bit misleading when you don't have that many laps to go, there's actually still quite a bit of driving to do, because since the lap is so long, a 1 minute 40, mid 40, I think it is the longest lap and lap time. I believe so. I think it is. Yeah, out of any track on the calendar. So we're definitely going to box at the end of this lap now, making sure we go through the pits nicely. Try not to hit that inside wall. It's so easy to do. Making sure we get our braking reference point for the pits done right, as we do. And the gap has gone down about almost 2 seconds on that lap. You can see he's already coming out of the exit of the last corner. So I thought to myself, have we made a mistake here? Have we stayed out way too long? And his pace, I know, is very, very good. I feel we had a bit more than him, but still, it's going to be very, very good. So coming out of here now, we're coming out with 100% ERS, so that's what I was aiming for. See, Roadhard didn't actually gain that much on the undercut, but we've got a 4.4 second gap to actually close in on Felipe. So we've got just under 3 laps to actually do this. So we're going to be lapping over a second a lap here. So let's see what it is at this point on the next lap. So right here now, I just have to push as hard as I can. However, I have to remember, I cannot afford to get a 3-second time penalty either. Otherwise, this race will be completely over, because there's no way I'm going to be gaining 7 seconds over this guy. And you can see already, we've only gained 2 tenths going through that first sector. So that isn't particularly promising here. But no, my straight line speed is going to be quite good around here. So I'm just have to throw the car in. I'm just going to have to give it everything. I really just risk everything. Go risk the track as much as I possibly can. Gaining another 2 tenths going through here. Let's see how much time we make up going through this last sector. We actually do a purple middle sector here. Now we're using the overtake going down the straight just a little bit. Let's see how much you use. Do I use it to about 70%? Yes, I do, because we will be recovering quite a lot as we go into this final chicane here. So the gap is 3.7 seconds now. Let's see what it is as we actually cross the line. Doing this very, very nicely. Is it going to be 3.5 seconds as we do this? I think it is just about. So a purple last sector as well. So we gained about 9 tenths of a second there. So fairly on track, but I think we're going to need a little bit more than that as well. So now we're going to pump in, try to do our fastest lap of the race here, but still not using absolutely everything, because we want to be saving it for potentially the last lap as well, because we've only got 1 lap more after this. So we have to keep something in reserve at least here, as I think Ronhard's actually pitted behind, because I think he's going to retake the fastest lap of the race here. But we're just laser focused, and now we're gaining quite a lot of time on Felipe out of nowhere. We're getting a lot of time going through these corners, despite us having a low downforce. That's because his tyres are about 3 laps older than ours. That's what I said. It does make quite a big difference coming around here. That even a lap difference makes a fairly big difference, in my opinion, around this track. So the gap is 2.2 seconds now. It was 3.4 at the start of this lap. So we're gaining about just over a second a lap, but we need more than this. We need more than this. If we want to be close, we're not going to be close enough for the first DRS straight, and we are running fairly low on the ERS now as well here. So we've got to rely on our straight line speed to try and do something, hoping that he doesn't have the battery power to defend with as well. So coming through this again, we have to make sure this is absolutely inch perfect, which it is. We do this very, very nicely. And coming off here, what is our fastest lap going to be? It's a 43.1. But we could have gone a fair bit quicker than that. We were leaving a little bit in reserve here, because now the gap is half a second, but we're not going to be close enough for this first DRS straight. The only opportunity we have is going down the very last straight into the final chicane. So we're using a bit here, but we're saving it for the end of the lap and hoping, just praying, that he doesn't have any battery power. And I saw his red light flashing here, so I have a feeling he is very low on the ERS, and I predicted he would be, because he'd probably be pushing very hard to keep me out of the DRS zone. So right now we are doing everything we need to do, but we need to be closer then this. And going through this left-hander, we missed this apex. That is a very, very costly mistake because we actually lost time going through that corner. And I thought to myself now, there is no way that we're going to be able to win this race now. There's no way. We have to be minimum half a second behind this last straight if you want a chance. And we're missing the apex again, so this is not good. He's keeping it about 8 to 9 tenths, almost losing it again, so we are not close enough at this stage. So all it relies on now is our straight line speed, and if he has absolutely nothing left, so we're using all of our battery power. Is this red light flashing? Yes, I think it is now flashing now. Now it is flashing, but the straight line speed isn't going to be enough. We are closing very, very quickly. What can we do going to this final chicane? And we just dive down the inside. He leaves us room on the inside, make a little bit of contact, going round the outside. Do we get the traction? Yes, we do get the traction, and we are going to win this race by 0.061 of a second. Oh, that was such an awesome race. And in that last corner, a little bit cheeky for me. Definitely a little bit cheeky. But he did leave the gap. He did leave the room on the inside. So fair play to him. Very fair play. I don't know if that was a league race. It'd probably be debated, I know for sure. But I just had to go for that gap. And yeah, GG to him. That was such a good race. And I can't believe we actually pulled that off in the end. That was a very, very tense last few laps of the race. So thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone joining these zombies. As I said, if you want a first priority invite for Xbox and PC, then join my YouTube membership, and first come, first served. I always let people know in advance, along with many, many other benefits I hope you find when you join that. So thank you so much. I will catch you very, very soon. Peace.